Yeah. Good morning, and it's a brand new month. Um, Anybody have cleanups that they're working on for clients or rushing for for last minute tax filings or anything like that? All right, I one more place to share this to, and then we will get started. Definitely want to encourage y'all, if you are not marketing right now, now is definitely the perfect time to make sure you're marketing, because there are going to be people who, if they're not already, they are starting to look to prepare for the new year for tax season and everything. So now's the perfect time to kind of start catching people that are ready for uh, end of the year to do cleanups and those sort of things. So it's the perfect time to be doing marketing. And there still could be some who haven't filed taxes yet. Obviously, if they're coming to you now and they're due next week, it's probably not going to happen on time, but you could still help them get it cleaned up and do a late filing or something along those lines. Um, so yeah, definitely want to encourage all, if you're not marketing yet, make sure you are marketing. Okay, I think we're good. I think I am live everywhere we need to be live. Y'all let me know if you can't hear me. I keep getting a thing about my internet's unstable. So I may have to turn my camera off. I'm not sure if it is or if everything's good. So y'all just let me know. Um, Loud and clear. Okay, perfect. As long as y'all can hear me, that's all that matters. I don't know what the message is about. Um, okay, let's go ahead and get started and dive in. So today I want to talk to y'all a little bit about excuses, goals, and just making sure that we have everything. We are going into the end of the year. So we've kind of just about everybody's probably either set goals for this year. So it's time to start like really evaluating, seeing where we've landed with those goals. And you're going to start working on new goals for the new year. We always do a goals workshop in January. So it's time to start thinking about where you were, evaluating your own books, those sort of things. Or if you're brand new starting, where do you hope you are in the new year? And those sort of things. So we want to get really clear on our goals and everything. But one thing that I've been seeing a lot lately with different conversations I've had and stuff, and I know like I've even been guilty of it often as well, we all are, is just what's more important to you, your excuses or your goals. A lot of times we end up, the excuses feel so real, and it feels, and I'm not saying they're not. One thing, I'll tell y'all a little story on when I first started, or when I was first trying to decide about starting a bookkeeping business. I was looking for something that I could do from home, have a flexible schedule, and be able, because I wanted to be there for my daughter. I purchased a course to learn bookkeeping. I started going through it, and it felt like there's no way I can do this. There's no way I can handle it. So I kept putting it off. So it really took me probably a good month and a half, 2 months before I really dove into the course material. But once I started diving in, and I'm like, okay, nope, I got to do this. And I started marketing. It didn't take me 2 weeks into marketing, and I was able to sign a client. But it made me, but I had to realize what means more to me, my excuses or my goals. And I knew at that time for me, I wanted to be there for my daughter. And if I wanted to do that at that time, this is pre-COVID. So it felt like this was the only outlet that I would be able to do that in, because it's like, okay, bookkeeping you can do from anywhere. You can create your own schedule. So I knew I had to decide, which was important. So I was going to give it everything I had. It was either going to work or it wasn't going to work, but it wasn't going to be a lack of trying. I knew. So, but as we're going through this, I want y'all to start thinking about what are some of your go-to excuses that you use. Sometimes we don't even realize because we just feel like, no, it's like legit. I really do not have time. Or whatever the case is, or I really just don't know everything. Whatever excuse you're using, it feels legitimate. But excuses are going to be what is going to keep you broke, stuck, living small. And we got to remember that we were not created to live small. We have a purpose. We were here to make an impact of some sort, for freedom, for abundance, not to feel like you're like constantly locked into a 9 to 5 schedule, or like there's no other option. There are so many options out there. So we need to keep that in mind. So today we're going to talk about stop letting those excuses win and how we can push past them to make sure you're actually hitting your goals. So again, as we're going through this, make sure you try to think about what some of your excuses are. Let's figure out how we can move past those to reach your goals, because we're going to be setting new goals. We need to be evaluating our goals, where we're at, and all the things. So keep all of that in mind. So we're going to kind of dig a little bit deeper into like the psychology of excuses. So the fear of failure. A lot of times, if I don't try, I can't fail. So a lot of people, when fear is linked back to a lot of the excuses that we use. So fear of failure, if I don't try, I can't fail. So if I don't go try start my bookkeeping business, if I don't go market, if I don't go talk to that potential client, if I don't start the books, you can't do it wrong. So we need to move past that, and we got to get past those fears. Some people actually have a fear of success. So if it works, everything in my life might change, and that could be scary. So I've had conversations with so many different people, different bookkeepers, people who've thought about starting bookkeeping businesses, even business owners. And a lot of times, like if you think back to whether it's your past, and some of it is money mindset issues and things along those lines. So it's really deep rooted. But if you think about it, like even who your friends are and things like that, you start to think like, okay, if this really worked out, how is it going to affect? How is it going to change things? Is my family going to look at me different? Are my friends going to look at me different? One excuse that I hear all the time is like even posting on social media. What if people get aggravated with me and things like that? So there's always some type of excuse. And it really can be scary if you're afraid that those life changes on not knowing where it's going to take you or what could happen. But our comfort zone is kind of where our excuses keep us safe, but it's also what's keeping you small. So you have to remember, we hear it all the time. If you listen to any mindset coach, if you listen to anybody that's successful, they say the big things and the good things are what happens outside of your comfort zone. So you have to step outside of your comfort zone and do the hard things to be able to grow your business, to be able to start your business for some of you, and to reach whatever goals those are. So it's super important to realize like, what are the excuses that you're making to yourself so we can move past those. So I don't know if y'all want to, everybody who's on, if you want to share what your number one excuse is in the chat, I would love to hear them. So definitely start thinking about those. Like I said, for me, it felt like there's no way I could do this. There's no way I can learn. So it was kind of related back to that failure, is what mine was at the end of the day. So. All right, well, number one excuse might just be the excuse. Yeah, it definitely could be. And a lot of times, y'all, there's been people, I've had so many calls with people, and like just talking to them, and they're like, well, that's not an excuse. Like, that's legitimate. I really don't have time, or I really don't know enough information, or whatever the case is. there's ways to work around it. And that's why I want y'all to get real with that it is an excuse, or whatever's holding you back. If you feel like it's holding you back, like, let's get real on that and let's talk about it, because there may be a workaround around it. But that's why it's important to have those conversations. I don't know enough to stand out and get the client. Okay, that's great. So one thing to think about with that is what does separate you from other people. One thing I had to learn about myself, because I didn't have the experience, I didn't have an accounting degree or any of those things when I started my business. So I could have used that excuse as well. But one thing I had to know and learn about, or know about myself, and just make sure I remembered that, was the fact that I knew I wasn't gonna go in and do something and do it halfway, or go in and turn books over to a client not knowing that it was done correctly. So for me, it was like, okay, who can I find that can review these books for me and make sure I did it correctly? Where can I get on YouTube? What course can I buy? What mentor can I pay? What can I do? Because I knew I wanted to make sure that it was done correctly, that I did know what I was doing. It's your dedication and all of those things. It's not a lack of knowledge, because a lot of times if you go look at people who are being successful, there's people with accounting degrees who are doing absolutely nothing because they're scared and they're letting it hold them back. But there's people who don't have accounting degrees who go out there and make a killing with this because they're just pushing forward and they have no fear. They're not worried about that. So it's definitely something to think about from that standpoint. So one thing that we're going to do in a few minutes is we're going to make sure we're reframing that thought, and so we can, instead of telling ourselves throughout the week that I don't know enough and I can't get that client, what's something else we can say? So like for you, what you could say for that is, I know enough to help someone who knows less than me. And I can keep on learning as much as I can. So you definitely have to think about it from that standpoint as well, because remember, your clients are reaching out to you for a reason. If they could handle it all themselves, if they knew it all themselves, they wouldn't be reaching out to you. So even if it's just a tiny bit more that you still know more than them from a bookkeeping standpoint. And if you feel like, hey, I don't, okay, well then let's make sure that you get in. The person who made that comment, I know you're in our program, so I know you have access to the course material, you have access to coaches, and all of that. So utilize the resources that you do have, the course material, the group calls, individual calls, whatever you need to make, you have all that right there at your fingertips to be able to do. So you might not have the knowledge, but you have access to coaches who do have the knowledge to help you be able to stand out and get the clients. So try to think about it from that standpoint. I always tell everybody, I always try to remember, you were comfortable enough to invest in us for a reason, and you trusted us enough for a reason. So lean on our knowledge and stuff for sure, to be able to help as much as you can. So if you don't have the confidence yet, use our confidence, if nothing else right now. And it's hard in the beginning, trust, like I've been there, definitely understand. But that's why I wanted to do this call, because it's been one of those things that I've been seeing with a lot of people as I've been having conversations and stuff, that it really is something that's a struggle right now. All right. So again, like I said earlier, let's just be honest, some of the excuses feel very valid. So I don't have enough time. I don't know enough. I'm not ready yet. I'm not good at sales. All of those things, they feel real because they're rooted in fear. So just like we were talking about earlier, the fear of failure, the fear of looking dumb, the fear of actually succeeding and it being life-changing. How is that going to affect you? What are people going to say? What are they going to think? All of those things. So either you have to fight for your goals or you're going to fight for your excuses. You can't fight for both. So you have to decide if the excuse that you've been telling yourself for months, years, whatever it is, do I want this excuse more than I want my goals? So it's one thing that you really have to stop and you have to think about, which do you want more? I always tell, if y'all had any mindset coaching with me in the past, One of the things I always say is your why has to be strong enough that it's going to make you emotional. My why is what kept me going and kept pushing me. So you have to figure out what your why for starting this business is. And a lot of times, some people are like, oh, I just want to get out of debt, or I just want to pay my bills. Okay, dig deeper. What is that going to look like for you and your family if you got out of debt? If you were able to pay your bills on your bookkeeping business? If you had more time with your kids, if you were able to travel the world, whatever it is, whatever that thing is that why you're wanting to start this business, let's dig deeper. But we need to be digging deep enough and we'll go into all of this when we do our goals workshop in January as well. But you want to dig deep enough where you can actually visualize what this would look like if you are able to accomplish this goal. And whatever the goal might be. Again, if it's more time, having the time with your kids and leaving your 9 to 5, if it is just being able to travel and stuff. We actually, if y'all need some encouragement in the group, in the Bookkeeper Blueprint group, I made a post today, it's Thursday, so let's do a thankful post. Like I'm able to be at all my daughter's senior events now because of that. Sandra, one of our coaches, went and commented, she's traveling the world, like literally traveling the world now, because of this business. That was something she always dreamed of doing. So there's a couple of, hopefully some more people go in there and comment, but it's just, there's so many options. There's so many things that you can accomplish with this business, but you have to want those goals more than you want these excuses. Something somebody told me a few years back was, you have to choose your hard, and that is so true. Whatever it is. So going out and doing the marketing, feeling like you don't know enough and you're trying to stand out for your client, that's hard. But showing up to that 9 to 5 where you're stuck and you're missing out on your kids' events or whatever, and you fill in the blanks with what it is for you, that's hard too. So which one do you rather? And you have to decide, again, is it the excuses or is it the goals that you want more? So we got to really think about it. And that's why it's so important to make sure you know what your goals are, you know why you're starting this business and all of those things. Because if you're not clear on it, the excuses, the fears, they're gonna triumph everything. It's gonna take over. And it's hard. There's hard days. I'm sure y'all probably seen on social media, anywhere, there's always these roller coaster posts that it's like being an entrepreneur is like a roller coaster. And it's 100% true. If you just started your business, you've probably seen it already. If you've been doing it for a few years or you've done any kind of other business, it's constantly up and downs. So that's why it's so important to have your goals and have your why and everything, because the excuses come, the fears come, the emotions are up and down. But we have to remind ourselves, okay, this is why I started my business. I have to stay focused if I want this to happen. So we got to get really clear on that. So it's either going to be our excuses or our goals. So your excuses are going to keep you stuck in the same spot a year from now. Your goals, if you choose them over your excuses, are going to pull you forward. So we want to make sure we're pushing past whatever those excuses are. So like we mentioned, I don't have enough time. It feels like a lot of times, you don't have enough time. Okay, but are you spending 20 minutes a day watching TV? Can you wake up 20 minutes a day earlier? I'll tell y'all a story. I'm a single mom. I was working full time when I started my business, and 4-hour commute, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, the time I got my daughter dropped off at school and all the things and traffic. So we were getting up super early as it was. We weren't getting home until late. Sometimes I work 6 days a week. So crazy schedule. I could have had every excuse you could have imagined, but I knew I wanted it more. So that meant I was getting up at 4:30 every morning because I was doing 30 minutes of marketing before I started my day. When I had my lunch break, I was doing more marketing, learning more about bookkeeping. The 2 hours in the car, 4 hours, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. I spent that time in the car listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, trying to learn as much information and knowledge as I could to get to be able to be confident and to show up and all the things. So a lot of times in the mornings, it might be listening to something just to keep me motivated and um, Grant Cardone, Steve Harvey, like all of them, somebody who inspired me, kept me motivated, because guess what? Waking up at 4:30, not going to bed till 10, 11 o'clock at night, you're exhausted. So there's a lot of days where it's like, how am I going to make it through this day? So I'd make sure I listen to something motivating, motivational, inspirational, whatever on the way to work. And then on the way home, I would listen to a podcast, some type of how can I learn more about bookkeeping, whatever. If I had calls I needed to schedule, I would try to schedule them if I could do that while drive and do it while I'm driving. Um, so yeah, again, you have to want it bad enough. But I knew I wanted it bad enough, so I made it work. I fit it in. My lunch break was calls with potential clients, doing marketing. When I got home, I was doing more marketing, calls with potential clients. I will tell y'all this, you do have to make sure you set a schedule and make sure you're not like completely burning yourself out. I did have to, like, a lot of times take Sundays and like, hey, this is going to be my day of rest. Again, there was some days that I worked Saturdays as well, so it was hard to do take the Sundays fully off sometimes when that was happening. But if you want it bad enough, you will make it work. You got to make it work. And I did that I started my business June 25th of 2019. So from June to November 1st, I left my job. So 4 months pretty much nonstop like that. But obviously at that point I had gotten to a place where I was like, there's no way I can continue to do this. I've got to leave my job. Or I can't do the business, one of the two. And I left my job. So yeah. So yeah, like I said, not enough time. I don't know enough. If I don't know enough was an excuse, how can we learn more? How can we continue to learn and grow more? I'm not ready yet. Okay, well, why are you not ready? You can definitely start and not be 100% ready. You don't have to have all the processes in place. You don't have to have all the procedures. Like obviously you need to be working on those things, but some of that can be done as you sign that new client. We just have to prepare for those things. So we want to picture two different roads. One is going to be, you're going to continue to say like, I don't have time. And then, so you're staying stuck in those excuses, whatever those excuses are for you. So 12 months from now, you're still stuck in the same place. You're frustrated. You're wishing things were different. Everything's still the exact same it is now if you're staying with those excuses. The other side, you stop saying I don't have time and you start carving out 20 minutes a day, whatever, to start taking those baby steps. Fast forward 12 months, and now you've had massive momentum. So even if you stop and you think about where you were now to then, yeah, of course, you can unmute and speak. Go for it.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. I didn't want to interrupt. Go ahead. And if you want to finish what you're saying, then I can start. I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. All I would say, yeah, just think about where you were a year from now, and you probably see some growth from then. So imagine if you put those excuses aside. That was the end of that thought.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is my scenario. And I just want to say, like I said my number one excuse might just be my excuse. But I wonder if I really am making an excuse, or do I have a plan in my head, or again, is it just an excuse? I'm
Okay.
probably a couple of years away from retiring.
Okay.
Uh, and I'm in a job where now, particularly since COVID, work from home, you know,
Okay.
not stressful, great benefits, get to travel with the job, things like that. Uh, Great job. Been with this particular company for almost 20 years.
Awesome.
So, but I said, as I prepare for retirement too, I want to be able to do something else, look for something else, get a little extra fun income, I guess, if you will, or income I can use with my family.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm not aggressively going after anything right now. I'm out there. I just got into this, I guess in June, I
Okay.
tested the water, putting up my website, and everything, putting out the ads, Yelp, LinkedIn, Facebook page, all that kind of stuff that we should be doing. But I'm just wondering, because I know I'm on this cushion right now with my job for at least a couple more years. Is that my excuse, or do I really have this thing lined up like I'm saying I'm doing? And should I really push now to start getting, maybe within the next year, maybe 5 clients, and then I'd rather get to retirement, maybe have 10 or 20. Then I've already got that base when I say, okay, I'm leaving this job, and I have stuff already in place.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things, a couple of thoughts and things I want to challenge you to go ahead and start thinking about and doing. So your why for starting your business is because of retirement coming up in a couple of years. So let's start thinking ahead to those couple of years and what retirement is going to look like for you. So we have a couple of people in the program who joined the program for that reason and stuff. Um, so a couple of things you want to think about is when retirement hits, what does your income look like at that point? Do you need this as supplemental income, or is this just, hey, it's something I'm going to use to kind of keep me busy? Or is it like we have one person who she started doing it because she really wants to be able to travel with her family and stuff. So like her income when retirement comes will pay the bills, but she wants that extra money to be able to travel. And this gives her the flexibility to be able to make that extra money and travel and do it. So I don't know if stuff like that's any of that you've thought about. Have you
Yeah,
thought about any of that
mine
deeply?
is kind of the latter, the extra to do what I want with travel things and things like that. My retirement 401 and things like that should pretty much cover everything else. Expense.
Okay, awesome. So I would, and I don't, are you married, kids?
Yes.
Okay. So this may be one of those things that you do with your wife, your family, whatever. But this kind of goes along with what we're going to do in the goals workshop in January. But definitely want to challenge you to start thinking about when the retirement comes in 2 years, what do you want life to look like then? And I'm talking like dive deep into what do you want that daily life to look like? Is it like I want to wake up, work on a couple of hours on clients, and but while we're on vacation and we're traveling and you want this to be an everyday thing? And you want to start thinking about how much money is it going to take you to be able to live that lifestyle? To make that happen. So is it like, oh, I would really need an extra $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, stuff like that. So you want to get really clear on what that's going to look like, because we want to start breaking our goals out. Like, let's say you need to make $10,000 a month in the next 2 years. Okay, then in this first year, you want to start making $5,000 a month. Okay, then let's break that down in how much income do we need to start adding in every month. So we want to start setting goals, because now it feels like more of a need and something I need to go do it this month, because everything that I'm doing this month is building that reoccurring revenue to accomplish those goals that are going to happen in 2 years.
Got you.
So that's what I would tell. But like I said, you want to get very clear on it. Get everybody, like I always do a vision board in January. I sit down and do it with my daughter. So it's something that we both put on. Like, of course, I have my own stuff that I'm doing, but like, is there a trip that we want to take this year? Do we want to buy a house? Whatever it is. Because when I do have to stay up and work late or whatever the case is, she knows why, because we're trying to accomplish this goal this year. So kind of same thing with your wife, when you're putting in a couple more hours or a little bit more work right now. Okay, this is because this is our end goal. This is what we're trying to work toward and accomplish. So you want to kind of get everybody active in on that as you can. And then as you're visualizing that makes you push harder and push past the excuses. So I do it. I mean, it kind of, in a sense, I guess, is an excuse, because you don't need it right now, though, is the thing. You don't need the income, so it doesn't feel like, hey, I have to show up and do it. So I would start there, figuring out your goals, getting really clear, and then I would start making sure that you're doing some type of marketing every day, whether it's 20, 30 minutes a day, social media, if that's how you choose to do, if it's in person, stuff like that. Because it does, one thing we all have to remember is with marketing, it takes a while to build that momentum. So sometimes you end up with clients really quickly, depending on your warm network and stuff. But sometimes it could take a little while to build up that freight train and to really get those potentials and stuff coming in. So that was a great question, y'all. If anybody has, yeah, you're welcome. If anybody has questions like that, or anything, like feel free to unmute or drop them in the chat. I'm happy to talk it through with y'all, because sometimes it is hard to know, is this an excuse? Am I just, because it just feels so valid, you know? Okay, so we talked about like visualizing what the next 12 months will look like. So make sure you are visualizing in 12 months, if you reach these goals, what do these goals look like? Or what is your life going to look like in 12 months? Could look like in 12 months. And we want to think about, like, what do you want it to look like in 12 months? Because we want to push and we want to give it everything we can to be able to reach those goals in the next 12 months. And again, we're at the end of the year. So we should be looking back to what our goals were this year, but we're coming up on a new year. So we definitely want to be thinking about, what do I want my 2026 goals to be? What would I like to see happen in my life in 2026? How do I want things to be, to change? All right, so as you've visualized over the 2 separate years, you're kind of stuck. You're still in the same place, no clients, nothing's changed. And a year where you've accomplished your goals, all the things, which one feels better to you? So the difference between that and even the person who is accomplishing their goals and the person who's still stuck a year from now, the difference is not going to be talent, it's not luck, it's not education. It's going to be the decision that you want more than just excuses. So you continue to just show up. You have to be willing to show up and do the things. And I can tell you, like, from a coach standpoint, and if y'all have worked with me, if you've been on my mindset calls in the group or anything like this, and if you know me, like, it can get so frustrating at times, because I know, and our other coaches know this as well. We know how life-changing this business can be. We've seen the things that it's done to our lives and how life-changing it's been for us. And all the things that we've been able to accomplish by doing it. And so whenever y'all come with excuse after excuse, it's just like, just show up and just do it. We just want to be like that sometimes, because we're so passionate about helping y'all and we want to see y'all succeed. And we know it can be the life change that you're hoping and the life change that some of y'all desperately need. But you got to show up and you got to do the work, and you got to stop making the excuses and all of the things. So definitely really think about what your excuse is and what can you do to start showing up. So again, figure out what your top 3 excuses are. And we're going to work on this the next week. Let's see, is it worth the $100 membership fee to join the National Association of Certified Public Bookkeepers, or the $39 to join the American Institute of Professional Bookkeepers? I'm going to be honest, I'm not a member of either. So I don't know. We may have some people in our program that are, but you can definitely grow a business without being a part of those things. Okay, so think about your top 3 excuses, and I'll challenge y'all with this, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't have any excuses, or you don't know exactly what your excuses are. As you go through the rest of this week, we only have 2 more days, and into next week, think about, like, when stuff comes up, what are you doing all throughout the day? Or is there anything that could be an excuse that you're using? And just kind of start thinking about those, because some of it might not be like right off the bat that you know. So again, like we talked about earlier, if it's I don't have time, you can find 20 minutes a day. You can carve out 20 minutes a day instead of sitting on the couch watching TV. Let's get to marketing 20 minutes a day, or waking up 20 minutes earlier and doing some marketing. I can tell y'all, even like at practices and stuff for my daughter, like I'll be there, but I'm working sometimes. So like there's ways that you can carve out time if you want it bad enough. You have to want it bad enough though. The I don't know how with bookkeeping, that excuse, Google it, learn, ask for help. We have our program here that's the reason we set it up, because all of us, all of the coaches that are a part of this program, we all knew what it took for us, how awesome it was to start our business and be where we are. We also knew what a challenge it was and what we wish we would have had and all those things when we started. So it was like, what can we do? How can we put all this together to help other people to be able to do the same? Because we want to see their lives change as well and be able to accomplish things with having their own business and stuff. So that was truly like our passion in doing that. So the help is there. People are there. There's YouTube videos. There's Google. We have our free group here. If you're in our program, you have our paid group. You have our course material. You have one-to-ones. One-to-ones are available to anybody. You can purchase individual one-to-ones. You don't even have to be a part of our program to be able to do that. So there's so much help that's available that I don't know should not be an excuse. I'm not ready. Nobody ever feels ready. Action's what makes you feel ready. Again, all of these things are fear-based. And if you feel like I have to have all of my processes in order, I need a website, I need all these things done before I can even launch and say I'm starting a bookkeeping business, all of that is fear-based. I will challenge y'all to read, listen to Fear is Not the Boss of You by Jennifer Allwood. One of the things that she says in there is fear is like a muscle. The more you show up and you do whatever the thing is that is scaring you, that is fear-based, the easier it gets. So just like going to the gym, when you go to the gym, you show up every day. Does it ever get easier or 100% not hurt or whatever the case is? No, but it gets easier to show up and do it the more you do it. So if it's talking to potential clients, go have those conversations go talk to business owners. Have conversations with your family and friends about what you do, what you offer. The more you do it, the easier it gets, the more confidence you feel and you gain in doing it. So definitely make sure you are showing up and you're doing that. One thing to remember is done is better than perfect, and momentum beats excuses every single time. You don't have to have everything perfect to show up. Another thing that Jennifer Allwood always says is nothing is permanent on this side of heaven. So sometimes we always hear like people, oh, I don't like the colors of my branding. I don't know what to name my business. I don't like the name of my business. You can change it. It's not that big of a deal. It can be changed. So just remember that as you're going in. So remember, we're not meant to live in survival mode. You weren't meant to circle the same mountain over and over because you're stuck in excuses. You got goals, you have dreams. God put those things on your heart for a reason. So we need to make sure that we are living those out, figuring out what that looks like for us. How can we make that happen? So this week, I'm going to challenge y'all to drop one of those excuses and replace it with action. And then watch how much your energy, your confidence, your momentum starts to shift. So whatever excuse that is for you, figure that out. Is it that I don't know enough? Is it that I don't have enough time? And if you don't know how to get rid of the excuse and start working on the things, let's talk about it. Send me a message, unmute, post a comment here. Let me know. That's what we're here for. That's why we do these calls, because we want to help y'all. So if one of your excuses has been, I don't know where to start bookkeeping, again, that's literally why we've created this. So we have everything laid out for you. So there's should be absolutely no excuse with that. So does anybody have any excuses that they want to talk about? Do y'all have any questions? let me check Facebook and make sure nobody's posted any there. But y'all, again, I just want to challenge y'all. Y'all can do this starting, and I don't know where everybody is that's on this call. Some of you, I know you've already started your business. Some of you are brand new, I think, still. But you can do this. You definitely can do this. And you're in the right place. You're showing up to the calls. So you're taking those first steps. And that's super important because some people aren't even doing that. All right. I don't see any questions on Facebook either. All right. Do y'all have any bookkeeping, marketing, anything, any questions? It doesn't have to be mindset related. If you want to talk about your goals, I'm happy to talk about that and stuff as well. These are my favorite things to talk about, if y'all cannot tell. And I'll tell y'all, we do, if you're not in our program yet, we do weekly calls. We have 2 that we call a co-working call. So you're able to answer any of your bookkeeping questions, any of those types of things. And then on Wednesdays, I host a mindset call. We talk marketing, mindset, all those things. Because a lot of times, and you'll realize this if you haven't already as you're growing your business, a lot of times those things go hand in hand. And one thing that we've been doing a lot on there is accountability, because sometimes it just takes knowing somebody's going to ask you, hey, have you done this? And you're going to show up and you're going to do it. So we started doing some accountability on there. So just kind of think about what you need and where can you find that kind of support, that help. What can you do to move past those excuses to be able to reach whatever your goals are and stuff. Yeah, y'all are quiet. No excuses. No questions. I was gonna say no excuses. Um,
I had a quick question.
but yeah, go for it.
So I spoke to Sherry about this. It was, a
Okay.
client that I'm like onboarding, well, going through the onboarding process for, and the books are a mess, and I just was able to see the tax return.
Okay.
So they're C Corp. I'm looking at the Schedule L compared to what their fiscal year end was on the balance sheet and QuickBooks, and not everything is matching.
Okay.
I see that I have a start point and we're cleaning up a couple of years. So
Okay.
I'm leaning towards getting a new QuickBooks and starting fresh, and the client is okay with that.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, like, is that like normal, or do you like do everything that you can possible to maintain their current subscription?
I I've done both, to be honest. I mean, yes, you do typically try to do everything you can to keep the current subscription. But honestly, sometimes it just depends on what all they've done in there and like how much of a mess and like what are we talking that we're trying to clean up kind of thing. Um, because like there's somebody that's in the program that I've been like helping her with, and they did inventory. The client she's working on has done inventory tracking in QuickBooks, and they just did so much and messed up so much with their inventory tracking that it was one of those things where they had no choice but to start back over because there was no backtracking. So I think sometimes it's possible to clean it up, and sometimes it's just better and easier to start over.
Okay.
So I don't know what all you're looking like, what all they did in QuickBooks, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm leaning towards just doing a new one.
Yeah. Sometimes that's definitely the easier option for sure.
Yeah, and then they're a C Corp, so it's like there's a little bit more complexity. Because like common stock and
Right.
additional paid in capital, like that stuff that would like scare me as a newbie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Person's relying on me for this type of guidance, and I want to make sure I'm off on the right foot. Yeah, so I guess like onboarding documents, maybe like what do you have like a set checklist per entity type that you always require before you start any work?
Not really per entity type. I honestly, what I usually do is go through their QuickBooks or their tax return. Like tax return is obviously one of those first things that I always get. And then it's kind of going through their QuickBooks from there. And then I kind of make a personalized checklist on what I need from there, because then I can look, once I've looked at their balance sheet, um, especially their balance sheet, you can see what all, like what bank accounts did they have, what loans, what assets, those types of things, and even the equity accounts to be able to ask the questions. Because even have sometimes even like a generalized checklist, it might say like if it's owner's equity or loans or something along those lines, they may completely forget that when you said loans that, oh, I have a line of credit through Capital One, I wasn't thinking of that or something like that. Where once I have the books and I'm looking at the balance sheet, then I'm making them a very specific list. I need the statements for these accounts. I need these documents.
Mm-hmm. And have you worked with any C Corps?
I have not personally. I've helped a few of the students in the group, but I have not personally had a C Corp yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Let's see, not really a goal, just a testament to the fact that you just need to start. Marketing felt really intimidating. I was on a call 2 weeks ago where you step by step went through each day of posting and what content can be. And I've been doing it for mine and my husband's business, and it's becoming a daily habit. And it really isn't hugely time consuming, and it wasn't scary. I'm so glad to hear that, Kimberly. That is so awesome. I love that. And y'all, it really is. It's not time consuming. It's not scary. It's just one of those things you just have to do it. It feels big. It feels hard. It feels scary. If I don't know if any of you have ever read Atomic Habits, but one of the things that and I probably mentioned this on that call, but one of the things that he says in that book is it's like go into the gym. It was an example that he used, but you have to start that habit. And marketing is one of those things that's a necessary evil. Most of us are introverts when we're bookkeepers. That's just how it is. So we don't want to market. We don't want to talk to people, like all those things, but you have to have it to be able to grow a business. But in Atomic Habits, one of the things he says to build a habit is you like to start small and to just show up and just do it. So like go into the gym. The first day, just drive to the gym. The next day, drive to the gym and walk through the door. Like you don't even have to do the work. Just get in that habit of doing it. So it's kind of the same thing with the marketing and stuff. So one post a day, one post every other day, and build it up. Just make it and realize it's not as time consuming or scary as you think it is. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anna, I have a question. Yes. What question you got?
Yeah, my question is I handle payroll for my client through Gusto,
Okay.
and he just started working with a CPA and a financial advisor, and they advised him to stop taking income for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Because I guess he had an issue with like a huge tax bill last year, and he's trying to not have that like not happen again. But he told me to continue his monthly health care, continue the payments for monthly health care. And I did set up his like insurance on Gusto. So like every time we ran payroll, you could see the deductions for his insurance and stuff. So I don't know what he meant. Like, do I still have to run a certain amount of payment so that it covers the insurance? Or I don't know if what I guess what the right question for him would be or how this would work.
Yeah, I think he would. I don't know how he has it set up. Is he the only person on payroll? Is he
He
the only
is.
person? Is he the only person on insurance too? Then I'm assuming.
No, he has
Like,
his wife and his son on insurance.
okay, but I mean, like, he doesn't have any other employees that are on
Oh,
insurance or
yeah,
anything. Okay.
no.
Um, Yeah, I think it probably does have to be like, I don't know how much it is or how he has it set up. What I would do is I would probably reach out to Gusto on his behalf and just ask the question, let them know like, hey, he's wanting to stop payroll. Because I'm assuming it's because he's paid in enough taxes or paid himself too much or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not the first time it's happened with Gusto. And they should be able to tell you, I've never had that happen with a client, so I don't know the right answer right off, but they should be able to tell you what that would look like. It might mean like this last quarter of the year, they might have to manually send a check to the insurance company, or maybe it is, hey, just run a payroll for X amount of dollars because that covers the insurance.
Mm,
And then
okay.
I would find those details out for him if I were you by contacting Gusto. And then I would reach back out to him and let him know, hey, this is the information I got from Gusto. So this is how we would need to proceed forward.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because he's like, oh, let me know if you need any further clarification. But I wanted to ask you first so I don't sound like I don't know.
Yeah, I would, like I said, I would reach out to Gusto and just
Okay.
confirm because it's going to depend on how they have it set up and all
Yeah.
the things. But I think you're probably right. I think it's probably going to be a payroll for a certain amount, but we'll find that information out so you can let him know, hey, this is what it's going to be, you know.
Okay, awesome. Yes, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, anything? Happy to answer before we hop off. All right. Well, y'all remember you can do the hard things, stop making the excuses. Let's show up for whatever our goals are. If you haven't set your goals or anything yet and you need help with that, I'm here. I'm happy to help. We could definitely do a call on that. Like I said, January is coming up. We will be diving into that very deeply in January for sure. So start thinking about it now. And as you go through this next week, think about what excuses you're letting hold you back. What can we do to move forward without the excuses to be able to reach our goal? Again, 20 minutes a day. Anybody can find 20 minutes a day to be able to do marketing. And y'all, even when I say 20 minutes a day, it can be like, hey, I'm going to do 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there, because it literally can be like a post and send a couple messages out. It doesn't have to be time consuming. It can be very simple and all the things. So, and just ask the questions. Like Kimberly said, we talked about it in one of the calls in the paid group a couple of weeks ago, and I literally went through like, this could be 5 days worth of posts that you made, like 5 different topics. So if you feel like, hey, it's scary, I don't know how to do it, it's time consuming, whatever, ask the questions. We have the free group. Y'all can ask those questions. That's what these calls are for. Also, is for y'all to hop on and ask the questions here too. Because we want to help y'all. We want to support y'all. We want to see y'all grow successful businesses and reach whatever y'all's goals are. So ask the questions, utilize the support you have. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have us, you have, like there's so many things out there to use. So yeah. But y'all have an awesome weekend, and we will see y'all next week. Remember, you can post in the group if you need anything. And we're here to support y'all. Y'all have an awesome week. You're welcome.